calls, as I did, from PhD type people who work in places like Rocket Fuel that want you to come and talk about the serious matter of your book. And so, as I was saying, I got this call from a guy named Eric at a place named Rocket Fuel, and he's like, you should come and talk at the NASDAQ. And just so you know, in my book, I come to a few unflattering conclusions about NASDAQ and some of our other financial markets. And I'm thinking, well, this is going to be like marching into the lion's den, NASDAQ. I don't know about this, you know. And I'm like, Eric, so you read the book, right? You read it. And he's like, yeah, no, I read it. I'm like, okay, so you read the pages inside the book, not just like the Amazon intro, right? You read the whole thing. He's like, yeah, I read it. I'm like, well. And now I'm thinking, like, how can I beg off of this? And I'm muttering something about traders and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, it's not traders. It's marketing and advertising people. I'm like, oh, geez. Okay, I love those people. Great people. Okay, absolutely. Let's do this. How can I help? So that's how I got here today. And as I said, when you write a book, it's very serious. And when I was setting out to do this, I wanted to talk to some of my serious friends who know about serious things, and I wanted to tell them about this idea I had for this book on Wall Street. And so I went to lunch with them, talked to them on the phone, and one guy I went to lunch with, very serious guy, right? He runs an investment fund. He's also a professor at Kellogg School of Management and Business, which is in Evanston, which is where I live. And so we're eating lunch, and I'm telling him about this idea, and he's like, well, that's fine, that's very serious. But then he says, the big story, and this is the word he used, the quantification of Wall Street is really part of a bigger story. The big story is really the quantification of everything. And I'm like, well, this quantification of everything, this is serious. And of course I started on Wall Street, but as I dug into that story, I kept finding people who had taken the things they had built on Wall Street and brought them to other fields and reordered those fields, or led to mini revolutions wherever they might go. And of course sometimes the science goes the other way too. Sometimes the science comes from other fields and it comes to Wall Street. Maybe it's mathematicians with chaos theory, or particle physicists with who knows whatever they do to come and figure out how to make money on Wall Street. It's a very bizarre thing. I mean, probably a lot of you have heard of Renaissance Technologies, which is a hedge fund out on Long Island. And it was started by a mathematician, a PhD mathematician from MIT, James Simons, and he's now a billionaire. He's one of the richest people in the world. And he was good at what he did, but I think if you look at the history of the firm and you ask people who know about it, you say, well, what was the turning point here? Well, he hired a couple guys